feel like people don't appreciate the immersion of Sonic Unleashed enough. Usually when you think of this game, you picture the things like the werehog and the mini mountain-sized horrors that come at night, but when you actually take a second to explore the stages and hub worlds, you start to see how much Sonic Team really cared about the small details that make this experience so memorable. And I think a great way to really put into perspective how immersive Unleashed is to compare it to more of a newer title, that of course being Frontiers. I think that these are some of the most fairly comparable games when it comes to immersion, as both of them had these... My gosh, I literally can't talk right now. I think that these are some of the most fairly comparable games when it comes to immersion, as both of them had decent... Dude, I can't talk! I think that these are some of the most fairly comparable games when it comes to immersion, as both of them had a decent chunk of time to be made, and the Starfall Islands, while being massive, can be an... Oh my god! I think that these are some of the most fairly comparable games when it comes to immersion, as both of them had a decent chunk of time to be made, and the Starfall Islands, while being massive, can be, in a way, compared to Unleashed's hub worlds. But anyways, I'm not gonna waste any more time, let's get to the herring, surprise, and potatoes.
What's the surprise?
The first thing I want to bring into focus are the graphics, and it's very clear that one game nails these, while the other has fallen into a common trope in modern gaming. I think the first thing you'll notice about Unleashed, after the best opening cutscene in the Sonic game ever, is how stylized everything is. This entire game looks like it was meant to be a movie, and the inspired but original take on real-world locations couldn't cement this idea further. Take Apodos, for example. Every building on this small island is so rounded, so exaggerated, yet it still retains the realistic qualities that you come to expect from a town like it. All the houses on the hills are so oddly placed, but it gives off a certain charm that only Unleashed could give. Another great example of Unleashed's hybrid graphics is in Adabat. Just look at that water! And the huts built around the shore? Eggman Land is the peak of Sonic Unleashed design. It's here that Unleashed just ditches realism almost entirely, but it makes actual sense since Eggman is the one who constructed it. This area is massive. With the lava and spikes and danger, it just screams Eggman, and it's a perfect representation of his crazy genius. Every hub world in Unleashed has its own unique vibe and style, which makes every country feel new and interesting. And this is the peak of 3D Sonic graphics, by the way. It literally hasn't gotten better than this right here. And unfortunately, Sonic Frontiers is one of those games that doesn't surpass Unleashed graphically. In fact, these graphics look kinda ugly. Not in the realism sense, of course. In terms of realism, Frontiers definitely handles that best. But in terms of unique art style and graphical stylization, this game feels incredibly lazy. And before any of you tell me that this is innovative, no it's not. It's genuinely just trying to be a game with realistic graphics, and it looks really bad when you plop in a character as cartoonish as Sonic is. This is a common gaming trope nowadays, where it feels like a competition to see which game can have the most realism until eventually everything that tries to run it explodes. And with Sonic Frontiers being a game ported for the Switch, Sonic Team couldn't even achieve the sense of realism that they were aiming for. So basically, Unleashed looks like what a 3D Sonic game should be, and Frontiers doesn't. Quick pause, if you want to support me even more than watching this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more weekly Sonic videos, that's it. Another important part of an immersive game is good world building. And just like the graphics, this is something that I think Unleashed handles way better than Frontiers. But first, what is good world building? More specifically, what are the main things that make world building good? Well, according to a very trustworthy and reliable source, a Google AI overview, some key aspects include the world's geography, history, culture, and the society's rules. Now, I'm actually going to add something that sort of coincides with geography, a sense of location. If you don't know where something takes place, it's harder to become immersed in the world, especially in a world as heavily established as Sonic's, because you don't know where something fits in the larger picture. Starting with Unleashed, and yeah, it checks off every one of these boxes. Geography? Every country has a unique theme inspired by one or multiple real countries, and they all know exactly what they want to be. There's also very subtle callbacks to other Sonic-related things in the actual stages. Location? Check the world map. History? The Gaia manuscripts and temples reveal how the Chaos Emeralds impact the story, and eventually reveal the truth about Dark Gaia and Chip. Culture? Again, every country has people to talk to who reveal elements of day-to-day life in their society. There's also trademark foods and souvenirs that you can buy from vendors. Rules? Yeah, I'm genuinely not sure about this one. If you have any examples, comment them please. But this is Unleashed, so of course it doesn't stop there. If I look closer, I could probably find hundreds of these other things that play into world building, but I won't because I'm lazy, so I want to hone in on one specific element that I love about Unleashed world building: out-of-place characters. Every once in a while, you'll spot somebody in a country that is actually from a different part of the world. Sometimes this is built up by the player encouraging them to travel, or sometimes you'll just spot them in a different place. The best part is that the new location of these characters makes sense based on what they want to accomplish. For example, you'll find a sailor from Apodos walking around in Adabat, or a guy from Shamar who wants to be a singer in Empire City. It just makes everything feel connected and fleshed out, while not mattering much to the overarching plot. Then there's Frontiers. Geography? I mean, of course, the Starfall Islands are right there. There's the history of the Ancients and Coco for sure, I'll give Frontiers that, but we don't really get a true glimpse into what the Ancients did outside of building the Titans and moving planets. The real problem with Frontiers' world building is its location. Genuinely, where are the Starfall Islands? I tried looking for an official map, but even on fan-made maps, the islands are nowhere to be found. So that begs the question, how did the Ancients find them? Did they hide them with cyberface somehow? Is that why the second cutscene had a red barrier that sucked Sonic's friends in it? I don't know, and I don't even think Sonic Team knows, because to my knowledge, they've never given an explanation. So in case you're zoned out, which is reasonable because I probably went on multiple tangents, Sonic Unleashed is able to tell several smaller stories just with its well-connected environments and their characters alone, while Frontiers struggles to even find a place to shove another 5 islands. This is going to be a bit of a shorter segment, but I feel it's still important to at least touch on, that being how both games handle animation. You know the deal by now, we're starting with Unleashed. Both Unleashed and Frontiers were animated using similar animation practices, however, I think Unleashed is more consistent. With Unleashed, there's so many animations that make Sonic feel expressive and cartoonish, while still retaining the sort of realistic art style that's what the game was going for. He fits in his environments, but still sticks out for all the reasons that make Sonic who he is, and I think that's something that is very hard to pull off successfully. Sonic Frontiers, while still using the motion capture and hand animation hybrid practice from Unleashed, attempts to lean towards more of a hand-animated squash and stretch style. Did you notice how I said attempts? Well, that's because Frontiers, to put it simply, isn't consistent in its animation department. It didn't fully commit to the full-on cartoonish animation style that I was going for, and as a result, some cutscenes look like this, while others look like this. For as many expressive animations as there are, there's equally as many of these cutscenes where Sonic stands in a static pose for 30 seconds. Also, even the stylish animations don't fit because, like I said earlier, the graphics don't match Sonic at all. This is something that Sonic Team has shown that they've improved upon though, so I hope this test animation released last year is what we can expect for future releases. If every cutscene matches this level of quality to Frontiers 2, I'll admit, it will be animated better than Unleashed. Okay, I know I've been bashing on Frontiers for a while, so I think it's time that I give it credit where credit is due. Frontiers does do something better than Unleashed, and that's environmental storytelling. Again, reusing the AI overview definition of this, which states that environmental storytelling is the art of using a physical or virtual space as a narrative vehicle. Ever heard the phrase, show don't tell? If you're over the age of 11, I'm sure you have, because every English teacher after the 4th grade couldn't repeat those 3 words more even if they tried. It's basically that, but specifically for physical pieces of the environment instead of people. Frontiers does a lot of this. Even from the very first island, there's all sorts of enemies and ruins that tell the player that these islands date back many years. There's also many workstations with the signature Eggman logo letting the player know that he was here, and Laika was studying the area. The landmarks in some islands also serve as obstacles and sometimes solutions for making further story progress. For example, the waterfall on Kronos Island being the landmark Sonic has to travel up to face Giganto, or the volcano eruption Chaos Island clearing the giant area in the middle. These are all things that Sonic Unleashed didn't really do. I think the next best thing to an Eggman workbase in the hub worlds are the robots that search for Sonic. I think something that could have been implemented into the stages or hub worlds is the ominous structure of a Gaia temple in the distance. This would do a good job of setting up not only suspense, but anticipation to finally arrive at the landmark. But yeah, rare Frontiers W, I guess. So, after looking at all this, it's clear to see that Sonic Unleashed handled not only a proper art style, but also proper world building and animation style better than Frontiers did. However, Frontiers definitely does environmental storytelling better than Unleashed. But don't take this the wrong way, Frontiers is still a solid Sonic game. It accomplishes what it set out to do, that being to return the Sonic cast to its former glory. I hope that Sonic Team is taking the time to improve upon these other aspects for the next mainline entry. Do you agree with these statements? If you do or don't, be sure to comment them. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this video. If you liked it, be sure to do the usual things to boost this video. Anyways, that's all.